Well, hello and welcome to the Comfort Food and Holiday Fun cooking class with me and my sous chef Cohen. My name is Stacey. I'm a holistic nutritionist, plant-based coach, and lifestyle wellness mentor. And this is our son Cohen. He's 6.5. He's going to be our sous chef in the kitchen today and help us with 4 different recipes. So if you are here live with me, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you find value in this class and that it inspires you to get in the kitchen and make some homemade food for yourself so that you can nourish your body and feel really good. And if you're watching the replay and you want these recipes, just click the link down in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Instagram, we will prompt you with a keyword that you can get these recipes through. We'll probably make the keyword comfort. Okay. So, we want to just get these into your hands so that you can start eating more whole plant foods and feel really awesome. So during this live session, since you're live, feel free to unmute yourself at any time and ask questions. We're going to be making 4 different recipes. Yeah, it's okay. You can stamp the dogs. Okay, thank you, Cohen. He's going to be my assistant and sous chef. So I am giving you guys recipes. I'm going to name them off right now, and then I'm going to tell you the 4 recipes that we're going to make today. And I'm just going to try to give you all my kitchen hacks and tips. So in this Comfort Food and Holiday Fun document that you're going to get, we have twice baked stuffed sweet potatoes with balsamic drizzle, greens and mushroom gratin, corn casserole, orange caramelized cauliflower and broccoli, sweet potato wild rice soup, which we're going to be making today, baked apples with cashew raisin cream sauce. That is actually a recipe courtesy of Dr. Furman. We're going to be, there's also an arugula citrus salad with sweet mustard, apple cider roasted root veggies. There is also a garlic herb cheese wheel that is made out of cashews. That's really fun. We're going to be making the pear spiced muffins today. And we're also going to be making the harvest root and arugula salad. There's also an incredible peanut butter pumpkin layered brownie bar recipe in here, plus soft pretzel bites, which I'm not going to show you today, but they are fun to make. And then we're going to be making the dilly mac and cheese, which this is a low-fat mac and cheese. And it's all made with whole plant foods. And again, if you have any questions during this, just let me know. So, okay, it looks like we've got Cindy on here too. So hello, guys. Hello. So let's start off with what we need to put in the oven first, because we're going to need to get those veggies roasted and the muffins baked. So I'm going to show you how to bake without eggs and dairy or without white flour, if that is something that you're wanting to do. So we're going to actually make a flour right now out of rolled oats. This is in a dry Vitamix container right here. You don't have to make your own homemade flour. I have a flour mill, a grain mill. You can go ahead and blend that up if you want to, Cohen. I have a grain mill, and I like to make fresh flour whenever possible because it just makes your baked goods taste better. And it actually can keep the nutrient profile a little bit higher. But the reason why I like to make this oat flour out of just rolled oats is because it's so cheap, so much more cost effective. And all you have to do is blend the oats. It's so easy. It's so much lower in cost than buying your own oat flour. We don't want to be using white flour because it spikes our blood sugar and can create insulin resistance, which is not good. It's also not good for our liver. So we want to be eating whole grain flours whenever possible if we're baking. So I ditched the white flour. I ditched the white flour years and years and years ago, and we're just thriving through it. Whoa, buddy, we got to be careful in the kitchen. Okay, so Cohen just zhuzhed up those oats, and now we have oat flour. Look at that! And it's a whole grain flour, and it's so much more cost effective. So in this situation, we are going to measure out some oat flour. So we're going to do 2 cups. I actually have a little bit left over from when I milled some flour just recently in my bowl. Smells like coconut water? Well, there's no coconut water in here. Yeah, it's just the onions. I don't know why the onions would smell like coconut water, but that's an interesting observation. So I have oat flour in here. You could use any grain that you want to. Has anybody ever done this? Oops, sorry. Has anybody ever done the oat flour pack? It is awesome and cost effective. And you can get gluten-free oats if you are gluten-free. Okay, next we're going to be using date sugar. Now, I'm going to talk about dates in a little bit and date puree. Stephanie says, yes, so easy. That's awesome, Steph. I'm glad that you have been making your own oat flour. It's such a time saver and a money saver. So I am going to use date flour or date sugar in this recipe, but typically I use, Corey says she used oat flour. She's used oat flour. That's good. Yeah, there's lots of different grains we can use. But we just want to try to keep the grains in whole tact form for our blood sugar and for fiber. Now this right here is from the Date Lady. This is actually just ground dried dates. This is very, 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 very sweet. It's not a fake sugar. This is just from whole fruit. And what I like about it is that it keeps the fiber intact. You want to pour this in the bowl? Oh, you okay. Well, I'll just pour it in the bowl. Now I usually use just whole dates to bake because I just like to, okay? But I do have this date sugar on hand for my chocolate cupcake recipe that's on my blog and for special muffins like this. And this is just a special muffin. So we have date sugar. Again, this is gonna be your best bet in terms of any powdered sweetener, okay? Versus refined white sugar versus even coconut sugar. This is your best bet because it has the fiber bound to it and it's not going to spike your glycemic load. It's not going to be such a high glycemic load. And I'm going to use baking powder now. Baking powder makes things poof, powder poof. That's like how I remember it. 3 teaspoons, which is actually equal to 1 tablespoon. So we're combining all of the dry ingredients together. We're also going to use cinnamon. Cinnamon is like in a shaker bottle because we use it so often in this house. So I'm really just eyeballing it. If something calls for cinnamon and you want more cinnamon, go for it. Cinnamon is actually a natural blood sugar blunter. So whenever I have like sweet potatoes or things that might spike my blood sugar, which is a totally normal thing if you're eating whole carbohydrates, but I want it to keep my blood sugar more stable, sprinkle cinnamon on it. Okay, what else comes in here? If these are spiced muffins, what do you think? Ginger?
Yeah.
Yeah, ginger makes sense, don't you think? Where's the ginger? Ginger's right here. That's garlic. That would not taste good. But thank you. And guys, unmute yourself if you have any questions. Yeah, we're going to do 1 teaspoon of ground ginger. And then we're going to make some flax eggs really quickly here. I actually have whole flax seeds. Now, you guys, flax seeds are wonderful in terms of omega-3 fatty acids. These have high ALA content, which protects your brain and also protects your entire intestinal your gastrointestinal tract. So I buy whole. Yeah, you could stir up all the dry ingredients, please. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, that's plenty ginger. Thank you. Now I have a coffee grinder right back here, a spice grinder. You can't see it, sorry, but I like to grind my flax seeds fresh. It's too tall. It's but like, you know, for the week maybe. If you buy pre-ground flax seeds, they might have lost their nutritional value a little bit. So just buy yourself some whole flax seeds and maybe blend yours up in you can do it in a food processor, you can do it in a blender, or you can do it in a spice mill like I have, and just do it for the whole week. I try to get 2 tablespoons of flax seeds every day. For a good source of omega-3s. And again, they're great for gut health. But what we're going to do right now is make eggs out of flax seeds. So we are actually going to do, it's 1 tablespoon of ground flax per 3 tablespoons of water. And what happens when you mix the ground flax with the water is that it creates a gel-like consistency, which will bind your baked goods together without you having to use an egg. Plus, you have the heart-healthy benefits of the flax seeds. Flax seeds are really neuroprotective. They're gut protective. And we're just going to stir this up and let that sit for a minute until it kind of gels up. And while we're doing that, we're going to get the rest of the wet ingredients together, which are a little bit of milk. Now you can use plant milk, which is what I suggest you use. You can make a homemade milk. I love making homemade plant milks like sunflower milk, soy milk. Hold on, we have to measure that. I don't make homemade soy milk. Hold on. Homemade cashew milk. You can make oat milk. You could even make rice milk. But this is actually soy milk. Now, contrary to what you might have heard, soy is actually cancer preventative. So this is just 100% organic, whole soy beans and water. And that is how this milk is made. This is the West Life brand. It is unsweetened and it is plain. It doesn't have any flavors or anything in it. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we're not going to drink. We're not going to drink it right now. And then we're going to use applesauce. Now, applesauce is a great way to bake without a lot of fat. So applesauce can actually replace oil in recipes. So we're going to do the same amount of, actually, this is just supposed to be a third of a cup of applesauce, a third of a cup of applesauce and 1 whole cup of soy. I just got that all confused in there. So the soy milk is going to give it nice like depth of flavor. And then the applesauce is going to sweeten it just slightly, but also give it moisture where oil would have been used before. So you can put that in there. And then we actually need 2 more of those of the milk. Just be really careful. So we're mixing up the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients separately. We're letting the flax eggs kind of set. And then we're going to make, just be really careful. This could be a really big disaster, guys. The very last dry ingredient I want to tell you about is vanilla bean powder. If you want your baking to go next, one more. If you want your baking to go to the next level, you need to get some vanilla bean powder. Is it expensive? Yes, but ask for it in your stocking or ask for it as a gift for Christmas. I buy one that's like the Kava brand, maybe. It's on Amazon. It's like $35 for a bag. It is so good, and it makes your baked goods taste so much better than using vanilla extract. So it's very much well worth the investment, in my opinion, especially if you want to win over your family members and friends with healthy foods. So we just mix up all those dry ingredients and make sure that the baking powder is all, equally distributed. And then the flax egg has kind of geeled a smidgen bit. You can't really see that very well, can you? It's just a little bit thicker now, right? Yeah. And we're going to add that to the wet ingredients. And then you can stir, Cohen. And while you stir the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients, I'm going to start going on another recipe. Because we got to get some stuff into the oven. Okay. Good job.
Where does it mix it?
I'm going to get it. You're just going to use a spoon. The longest spoon ever. Okay, guys.
Oh, it's like muffiny.
Okay. We are going to now move on to what else we need to put into the oven, which is going to be our veggies for the roasted root vegetable salad. Good job. So we are going to use onions, parsnips, and carrots as our roasted root veggies. We have to put the pear in there. That's the star of the show. Keep stirring. So the parsnips were like out. So I have 1 parsnip. And if you've never cooked with a parsnip, I'm just going to encourage you to try it because it's going to diversify your gut microbiome and give you some new things. Thank you. This is what the batter looks like. We're going to put the batter right here for a second, and we're going to chop. It's okay. We're going to chop the pear. I'm going to give you the really important task of getting these pears chopped up into small pieces. Okay?
Yeah.
You can do that. Be really careful with your fingers. We're going to pray. We're going to say a prayer right now. Keep your fingers tucked under. Very small chunks. Okay, you guys. So we're doing onions, carrots, and parsnips. Parsnips look like this. Parsnips are like a big white carrot, but they're not a carrot. They're a little bit sweeter than carrots, actually, when they cook up, in my opinion. And they're totally delicious. Keep chopping. I think I'm actually going to give you a tiny knife, please, and I'm going to use this big one. So we need to roast these. And since I am only using one of my ovens, I'm going to just roast them at a lower temperature today, which is fine. I'm just going to do that. So we're cutting these into like halves lengthwise, and then we're going to cut them into little pieces from here, or like chunks. Don't stress about your pieces. I mean, they can be smaller or bigger. It's kind of important to keep your food somewhat the same size in terms of when you're roasting, because you want them to be kind of done at the same time. Okay, can you get those way smaller? We need those to be really small. So I'm just gonna, I already diced my onions kind of small. So I'm going to kind of do these parsnips a little bit smaller than what my recipe calls for, but that's okay. I want everything to cook evenly. I'm gonna cut carrots as well. And these were not like large, so I didn't really need to cut them in half lengthwise. Some pieces could be done lengthwise. But you want, if you're making a salad, you want to make the pieces small enough that they can be, you know, put on your fork and eaten. Now, I put these in just a jar right here because what we're going to do is season them up now. We're going to season them up with a reduced balsamic vinegar. This is one of my hacks to do oil-free cooking. So reduced balsamic vinegar is it's sweet. It has acetic acid, which is really good for blood sugar regulation. And we're going to use that to kind of coat the veggies, and then we're going to spice it up with some herbs de Provence. Let me tell you about herbs de Provence. I actually am out of herbs de Provence, but really what herbs de Provence is basically Italian seasoning with a little bit of extra thyme and lavender. So if you've never used culinary lavender before, you should try it. It really tastes good with orange veggies like sweet potato. What are you doing? Are you just going to eat this straight up? Okay, buddy. Some rosemary in there too. I have some culinary lavender here that I love to use with some like roasted sweet potatoes. But I like to get my reduced balsamic vinegar from California Balsamic brand. I know I have some sort of discount with them. No, you can put the pears inside of that batter though. The pears really should be smaller, even smaller than that. I'm using my clean hands to mix this because that's just the way that I think that cooking should be. Your best kitchen tools are your hands, okay? Very, very true. Now, this is gonna create a delicious, like hearty topping for the salad. And my dogs below are having a feast on the pieces of food that are falling on the ground. Okay, so it's okay. So again, the reduced balsamic vinegar is going to caramelize these veggies and just take the flavor up a whole nother level. I have some parchment paper lined baking sheets. Just pour the whole thing on. I'm just gonna get it onto an even, thing, even layer, and pop them in the oven. Okay, so while Cohen is getting the rest of those pears into the batter, I am going to throw into a pot of water right now. I'm going to throw in potatoes and carrots. These are pre-chopped, and these are going to be for the macaroni, the cheese sauce.
Yeah. I'm making the cheese sauce.
Yeah, we're going to make the cheese sauce.
Yeah. I love mac and cheese.
Yeah. So, if you're live here, has anybody made a cheese sauce with like cashews or sweet potatoes or carrots? Let me know. Let me know. I'm curious. Oh, I forgot to put black pepper on my root veggies. That's okay. I can do it at the end. Okay. We'll continue building that out. We had to get the things in the oven. And we're gonna finish up these muffins and stir. So since these chunks are kind of big, we're gonna kind of smash them in there. If your batter seems dry, like it's not very liquidy, you can add more, a little bit more liquid, like a little bit of water, a little bit of plant milk, which is what we are running into right now. It seems a little bit dry. It depends on your hydration and your air in your kitchen. Okay, you can have some applesauce if you're hungry. Get yourself a spoon. Okay. Yeah, it might depend on the hydration levels of and like the elevation, if you need to add any more milk. I'm gonna add another pear, like a half of a pear. The recipe says, 1 to 2 pears, depending on how many pears you like, and how much you like pears, basically. And if you want really, really, really fluffy, light muffins, then using less pears will be a good idea because they won't be as heavy. But we're gonna scoop these into the muffin tin liner and bake these with the roasted veggies. Now, ideally the roasted veggies would roast at a higher temperature, but I'm just using one oven today because I didn't want to preheat my other one. And to be honest, I use my other one as a storage for extra pots and pans that I probably don't need. But I love these muffins because they have the cinnamon and the ginger, and they're just delicious. So we're gonna use an ice cream scooper. But here's the batter. Yum. We're gonna use an ice cream scooper to put the batter in. Do what?
That was air.
Yeah, that was air. Here it is. I have all different sizes of ice cream scoopers, and it comes in handy for muffin, scooping. Here, how about you stay focused on one thing while mommy does this?
I'm done.
Okay, well, you can help me with the next thing. You
Okay.
you've double dipped in that. That is now your container of applesauce. It is all yours. You wanna get that muffin liner that fell out on the floor? Put it in here. This makes 12 muffins. So just fill as much as you need to. Okay, go ahead and fill that one. All right. So we've got our cheese sauce started. Here, I'm gonna give this to you. No, not to fill in the rest of the muffin line.
What if there's a little more? Like there is.
No, there won't be because we have to fill this muffin back here. Now we're gonna do an Instapot soup, guys, because this is gonna go real fast. And it's gonna be awesome. So I'm making it in the Instapot. This is the sweet potato wild rice soup. You can make it in the Instapot or you could do it on your stovetop. Totally up to you. Whatever works best for you. But in this soup, we're gonna have mushrooms, onions, garlic, greens. It is made with coconut milk, You can use a plant milk instead if you'd rather not have coconut milk, or maybe you're allergic to tree nuts. It's a really flexible recipe, and I am just obsessed with my Instapot. So if you don't have an Instapot yet, gift yourself one, because it is pretty life-changing in terms of meal prep for me when it comes to batch cooking beans and stuff. And yes, we can buy beans in the can. That's fine. Yeah, it does taste good, doesn't it? You can buy beans in the can. That's totally fine. But I like to kind of like make my beans, they just taste better homemade. And I can add fun minerals to it, like seaweed when I'm cooking my beans in the Instapot, which kind of mineralizes the food that I'm eating to another level. It also helps to reduce gassiness. So if you buy canned beans, try to look for Eden Organics canned beans, because they have created a nice, they've rinsed the beans multiple times before they cook them. And they also cook them in kombu, which is a seaweed, which is what I'm talking about. And it really just is one of the best ways to cook beans. Okay, you can have that batter. Here is the muffins. We're gonna pop these in the oven and we'll get on to this. Okay, the vegetables in the oven already smell so good. Going back to the balsamic vinegars I was talking about, I like the California Balsamic brand. I think it's californiabalsamic.com/Stacey Heine if you want a discount. I could be totally wrong though, so don't hold me to that. But give yourself some reduced balsamic vinegars, because they come in handy for making dressings without oil, which is going to be a lot lower in calories. It also lends a ton of flavors, and you can get infused vinegars. Like this one's the sweet heat. It has like garlic, serrano, and habanero peppers in it. It is so good. Okay, my cats are playing in the Christmas tree. Things might get a little crazy over here. All right, on to the wild rice sweet potato soup, which we're gonna pop into the Instapot and actually cook in a lot faster time than stated on the thingy-majigger, because it can go fast. We're gonna use a vegetable stock. You can make your own homemade veggie stock. You can buy it. If you buy it at the store, get low sodium, because we are bombarded with so much sodium in the American diet. We need to really, really reel that in. This is a wild rice blend that I'm using. You can use 100% all wild rice if you'd like. You could use a black rice, a purple rice. It's up to you. Ideally, rinse your rice first. I skipped that step today. It's going to be fine. I'm also using mushrooms. Now, I'm really glad that I didn't eat the whole container this morning because I forgot there was mushrooms in the soup. So these mushrooms were actually pre-cooked, and that's fine. It's going to be just fine. But you can usually just throw in raw mushrooms. I like to get baby bellas, and even white mushrooms have cancer prevention benefits to them. So try to get mushrooms in your diet daily. If you're not drinking them in a mushroom coffee, then eat them every day. Even just one button mushroom a day will do you good. Well, it's okay. You don't need to dive into the bowl. Are you good? We're good. We don't need to get any more about it. He was about to like pull that sleeve all the way up to his armpit and really go to town on that. What else is in our soup? We've got mushrooms. Oh, we're going to use garlic. I'm going to show you the laziest garlic hack. This is garlic that is minced already from the grocery store. It is put in some citric acid and it's water. Thanks, Steph. I think that you just shared the link for California Balsamic. We are going to put garlic in it. This is pre-minced garlic, guys. This is the laziest way to do garlic ever. Do I ever buy this? No. But did I buy it just for this class? Yes, because I wanted to show you that even if you grow your own garlic like we do, and you have fresh garlic in the garage, that you could totally use. Yes, you can eat it. You're going to burn your mouth though. It's going to be spicy. Make it easy on yourself. If healthy cooking is like, if you just think it's going to take too much time, buy convenience foods. Buy pre-cut vegetables. Buy frozen pre-cut vegetables. Just find no obstacle by buying pre-cut garlic. Do all the things that you need to do to make sure you get the healthy food in your body. It's so important. Now, garlic is no, garlic is so good in so many ways. Allium vegetables are incredible. Yes, we're gonna put bay leaf in. There's another thing that I wanted to tell you about bay leaf. When a recipe calls for bay leaf and it says like 1 bay leaf, I use like 5. It's the same with garlic. I use more because I want the flavor. And you don't eat the bay leaf, you pull them out before you eat them. But I don't skimp on the bay leaf at all. I have a huge, massive bulk bag that I bought. And I want to actually grow bay bushes so that we can have our own bay leaf. In here, we're throwing in diced carrot and onion. You can use any onion that you like. I just like sweet Vidalia the most. In here are Japanese sweet potatoes. So you can use regular sweet potatoes or Japanese. I love the Japanese ones the most. They're the best. And then Cajun seasoning. I love the Frontier Co-op brand. This is the salt-free Cajun seasoning. You got to be careful when it comes to spices, guys. Some recipes, like for chili powder, they'll be calling for like 3 or 4 tablespoons of these spices, and they are loaded with sodium. So if you're buying pre-made veggie broth and you're adding these spices that have salt added to them, that is just a lot of unnecessary sodium, which can definitely distress our circulatory system. Our blood vessels, basically. So that actually, we need another tablespoon of that. So this one's not too spicy, which I like a lot. It's just mild and it's delicious. I love Frontier Co-op brand and Burlap and Barrel for spices. And then we're gonna throw that in the Instapot. It should cook up quick. I was trying to get this whole class done in 1 hour. We'll see what happens. Pressure cook. Okay.
These are 3 recipes.
That was 3.
One more.
We're working on the macaroni now. Okay, so we have had the I've already cooked the macaroni noodles. Now I want to talk about noodles. I want to talk about pasta because maybe you don't eat pasta right now. And that's okay. But in the blue zones, they eat pasta. And those are the longest living people on earth that we know of right now. And so I'm not afraid of pasta. I'm not afraid of flour. If you do have a really severe food addiction or processed food addiction or a very severe sugar addiction, flour might be a trigger for you, just so you know. So maybe sticking to a whole food instead might be better. So if you wanted to make this macaroni and cheese, but you didn't want to use pasta, you could use beans instead and roasted veggies and just put the cheese sauce on there and enjoy it that way. Bless you. There are also, hold on 1 second, okay? There are also pastas out on the market right now that are not whole grain at all. They're actually made with beans and bean flour. And that is actually higher in protein and can give you a really great source of prebiotic fiber for your gut and resistant starch if you're cooling it before you eat it. Like there's a lot of pastas out on the market. So even if you're gluten-free, you can use the bean pastas or the rice pasta, or there's a lot of options out there for you. But I do not suggest that you buy regular white pasta. I always go for whole grain pasta or the bean pastas that are out on the market now. So I just actually have a 100% organic whole wheat flour macaroni noodle today that I'm using. I don't always use wheat. I like to mix up the grains that I eat in my diet. Now, a lot of people are scared of wheat, and rightfully so, because a lot of the wheat out on the market is sprayed with glyphosate. And there's also been a lot of bad, wheat has gotten a bad reputation from gluten, but gluten is not necessarily bad for you. Actually, it can be incredibly beneficial to your gut microbiome. So
I ate the horn.
You ate the horn. Okay. Cohen ate the horn. So I have done a different spin on this low fat mac and cheese with dill weed in there. Now, if you've never had dill, it's like one of my favorite spices ever. It's so buttery and delicious. And I know plain pasta is the bomb, isn't it? But we can't eat it all right now. In this recipe, we're making this is very low fat sauce. We're not even using cashews, which I usually use in my cheese sauces. I just wanted to give you I wanted to give you a recipe where you could sit down and have this whole bowl of macaroni and cheese without going into an extreme calorie surplus. Okay, I'm not joking when I'm saying this is really low calorie density. You could also put this over roasted sweet potatoes or potatoes. But
this is all gonna be for me.
You're gonna eat the whole bowl? That will make me jealous, but okay. I'm gonna check to see if my carrots are done and my sweet potatoes. Basically, if you can poke a knife through it and it falls off, which it's not falling off yet, then it's pretty much cooked all the way through. This is like an al dente carrot. Here, let's see. It's good enough for a sauce. Oh, the sweet potato is definitely done. See, it just fell right off my knife. Okay, I think that carrot was just being stingy. They're ready. So we're gonna drain these veggies and we're gonna throw these into the blender. We're gonna drain and throw into the blender. Now, again, if you wanted this sauce to be more creamy and like just more rich, you can add cashews. Okay, but we got potatoes, carrots cooked. We're gonna add nutritional yeast. If you don't know about this, this is a microbe that blankets the entire earth. What? I'm sorry, B12 is a microbe that blankets the entire earth and is in like streams and stuff like that. And nutritional yeast actually has B12 in it. We're gonna take this off because it's hanging out. And it makes things taste cheesy. So this actually has beta glucans in it and can be really beneficial for the gut microbiome. So we use this in a lot of recipes. Not a lot, but in recipes that we want that umami flavor, which kind of just like hits all of the pieces of your taste buds, like, and it just kind of makes you be like, oh yeah, that tastes good. Okay. We're gonna do nutritional yeast, a half of a cup of that. You can add more or less depending on if you.
You turn this off, Mommy.
Just turn it until it clicks off. Thank you. He's also our fireman today, making sure that we don't burn the house down. But nutritional yeast is awesome, in my opinion, for people who want to not have dairy all the time, and they want to make things taste cheesy. We're also going to use garlic powder and onion powder in this. I also wanted to tell you about miso paste. So
I love miso. So salty.
Yeah, miso is very salty, very much triggers his, ooh, I want more, like type of thing, which is very natural for anybody, any human, when it comes to, yeah, you can have that. Salty foods, sugary foods, oily, fatty foods. We are designed as human beings to want those foods because they release dopamine in the brain and they keep us coming back for more. That's one of the reasons why the standard American diet is so dangerous.
Way more salty than salt.
It is very salty. But the cool thing about it is that miso paste actually is a way that you can salt your food and it won't raise your blood pressure. If you use, they've showed studies using salt on food, the same amount of sodium in milligrams versus miso. And the miso does not raise the blood pressure like the actual salt does. Is that not crazy? So if you want, you can use miso paste in your baked goods. You can use miso paste in your sauces. You can use miso paste anywhere that salt is called for. And it has the beneficial microbes from being fermented. So it could be be counted as a fermented food in your diet for the day.
I didn't put any.
We don't need any in it because we have all the flavors that we're used to. But we have it and we use it, and especially if we're cooking for other people that are used to having a lot of salt in their diet. I mean, I even put miso in recipes for my mom, and she's like, it needs salt. Like, she's just like such a salt fiend. She has a salt shaker in her car. It's crazy. I'm like, Mom, your blood vessels they're not loving you right now. We're gonna put some garlic powder in. Again, garlic powder calls for a little bit. I use a lot. The allium family is just so cancer like fighting that I really, really don't fear bad breath. I would rather have bad breath than
it's gonna take like mac and cheese.
it is. And I'm gonna use onion flakes because we're out of onion powder. But onion makes a really stellar cheese sauce. And I just added so much onion in there. It's going to be really oniony. I'm gonna add a little bit of cracked black pepper just to add just a little bit. And then here's a secret ingredient for a cheese sauce that you might not have thought of: lemon juice. This is another hack that I do. I buy the Santa Cruz organic 100% or lemon juice so that I don't have to always have lemons on hand. And sometimes I have like lime, and I'm like, I wouldn't use lime in my cheese sauce. I don't think that would taste good. But the lemon makes it zippy, and lemon is another ingredient that you can use to make things taste more salty because it's acidic. And acidic foods like vinegar and lemon and sumac, which is a spice, will make things taste more salty. Okay, so we have one more ingredient that I want to add to the sauce, and that is dill weed. Again, we grew dill weed. I have it dehydrated. It's in bags, but I don't want to grind it up right now. So I'm using my bag of dill that's already done for me. It's just delightful. It smells so good. Now we're going to blend up. Oh, we need to add a little liquid. In the liquid department, if you want to keep it very low fat, you can totally use the boiling water, the water from your boiled vegetables. Or you could just use a veggie broth, or you could use some more plant milk. We're going to use some plant milk because we don't need it to be super low fat. Okay. I just wanted to give you options. So wanted to make sure that we're not missing anything in the chicken. Okay. What was my pear right? Yes, Cindy, it was. It actually, I thought it wasn't because I actually got these delivered from Fresh Time this morning, but it was perfect. Like, I am a sucker for like, just go high. See if we can get it going. We might need some more liquid in it. I thought it wasn't going to be right, but I'm a sucker for like really soft pears. I like can eat like 4 or 5 at one time. But this was perfect, especially for muffins. You don't want to have it too wet because they're going to release. Oh. Okay. I'm going to check on the muffin. Sure, that was fun. Yeah. Oh, it needs a little bit of liquid. It's not blended. Oh. You just have to be careful with the cheese sauce because there is liquid in the cooked carrots and in the cooked potatoes. So when you go to add your liquid, which is, yeah, I said a half of a cup, but you might need a little bit more. I did originally have half of a cup to 1 cup of liquid, but I really just don't want people to make too thin of a sauce because that's just sad if you're trying to make a really creamy macaroni and cheese. Go for that. We might need to add more, okay? I'm gonna go check the muffins really quick and the veggies, which I know are not roasted because it's on 350 degrees, but they'll still cook, which is good. I'm still on the top. Ask me questions or want to say something. Okay, go faster. You might need to use a tamping stick. Oh my. Okay, this is a thick cheese sauce, like real thick. And again, you can add more liquid, but look at that. It's like, who needs Velveeta? Oh my God. It's so good. I like the extra onion. I mean, it's just so good.
Oh, that's so good.
So what? Mustardy?
Mustard.
There's no mustard in it. That's actually that's a tip for cheese sauce too. In some of the recipes that I have for cheese sauces, a little bit of mustard powder can really bring some cheesy flavor like a nutritional yeast would. You don't, it's strong. It's strong in nutritional yeast, huh? Onion. But the dill really makes it delicious. Like I love the dill. And this is super thick. We have this pre-cooked macaroni. You can add as little or as much as you want. This is so low cal. Again, this goes really good with like sauteed greens. Oops. This goes well with anything. I mean, you can thin it out, drizzle it on like beans and rice dishes with roasted veggies. So many options. Cohen's about to try to steal this whole thing. The muffins are going along. I should have done a festive comfort drink. We're going to talk about date paste here in a minute, and I'll give you guys an idea about a festive drink. Oh my God. Move over, Blue Box macaroni and cheese. You don't stand a chance. And I mean, like you'll never know that this is low fat. You can use, you could even use a sweet potato in this recipe and make it like a sweeter cheese sauce. Hold on, we gotta show the people. Okay, look at that macaroni and cheese. Oh my God, so good. And oh my God, it's just so good. Is that rude to talk or to? Okay, yeah. Go have fun. Oh my God. Okay, it's delicious. Just so good. You got to try it. Okay, we're gonna make the dressing for the salad as things kind of finish cooking up here. This here is date puree. This will change your life. You no longer need sugar. You no longer need maple syrup. You no longer need honey. Is there anything wrong with raw honey? If you're 100% vegan and you don't use bee products, then yes, of course you're not going to use honey or like honey. But listen, no matter what, and no matter how we slice it, honey is sugar and it acts the same way in the body as even white table sugar. Does it have enzymes in it that can be protective to our body? Yes. So that is the one thing that honey does have going for it. If you're going to choose to consume honey, do it in its raw state if you can, or find a raw local honey to make your recipes with. But again, it's still going to spike your blood sugar. Macaroni and cheese is making you smile. Macaroni and cheese makes me smile too. And I really hope that you don't eat that whole bowl because I want some. Now, maple syrup, same thing. Maple syrup has minerals in it, but it still acts as sugar in your body. If you want to see a really great visual of this, Dr. Michael Greger actually created a video of this years and years ago. And really the only liquid sweetener that I would suggest that you ever have is blackstrap molasses. Because of the high mineral content, the high iron content, and it does slightly blunt the blood sugar spike. But even maple syrup, even agave, even honey, sadly, can act like sugar. And if you have a really bad sugar addiction and you're trying to kick it, or maybe you just don't want to have it all the time and you want to just have it very sparingly, make date puree your next best friend, your next sugar substitute. Because listen, this is not anything made in a lab. This is not a fake sugar. This is whole fruit mixed with water, and that is all it is. And it will last in your refrigerator for weeks upon weeks upon weeks in a ball jar. So make big batches of it and start to sweeten all of your food with it. This is what I would use this is what I use a lot of the times in my muffin recipes and in my cupcake recipes. I use it also to sweeten my drinks. Every single morning I have my mushroom coffee or my matcha tea that's made out of ground olive leaf. I blend that with a date and hot water. Or I'll just, if I'm traveling, I'll take my date paste with me. I don't care how crazy that sounds. I'll take my date puree with me and I will sweeten my drinks that way because I like sweet things. And yeah, so we're going to use this in our dressing. And for the dressing in this recipe, you can use apple cider, or you can use orange juice, the juice of an orange.
Stacey.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt for a second? So you're saying that's date paste? You just took dates and blended it up?
Oh, sorry. I need to tell you my recipe verbally. I try to give this recipe like everywhere that I share recipes, but here it is. It's equal parts pitted medjool dates, and I prefer medjool because I think they're better tasting versus deglet. I just think they're better. I use medjool dates, but you could use deglet as well. Any type of date will do. Make sure it has the pit taken out. Put it in a cup. Put it in your measuring cup, and then pour it into the blender, and then same water, same ratio, same exact ratio, water to date, and then you blend. I'll do like 3 cups at a time, 3 cups dates, 3 cups water, blend until it's super smooth in your Vitamix, and store it in ball jars, and it will last for a long time. We go through so many dates because we don't use honey or maple syrup or anything anymore to bake. And again, there's nothing like terrible about these, but so many people are dealing with sugar addiction. And when we have sugar in its natural state that doesn't have the fiber removed, it's going to blunt the blood sugar response so significantly. And it's very much worth doing, in my opinion. So I use this for everything. I'll even use it to sweeten up. I mean, if you have my secret is in the sauce recipe book, then like all my sauces are sweetened this way. You can even sweeten marinaras with this. So, you know, I think that every little bit counts, and I don't think that it's crazy. I don't think that it's going to be horrible if you have honey or maple syrup or coconut sugar, but they're just not bound to fiber. So we want to try to look at healthy swaps when we can, healthiest swaps.
So would you do a 1-to-1 if something calls for a cup of sugar? You would.
So if something calls for a cup of sugar, that's something that you're going to have to like ask yourself, okay, what liquid is being used in the recipe? So if they're using like 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water in the recipe, then you're going to have to say, okay, if I would rather use date puree, then I'm probably going to omit the water that's called for in the recipe, or at least drastically reduce the water, because you're going to be using date puree that already has water in it. If you want to make an equal substitute, just use date sugar in place of white sugar. But again, I don't use this date sugar all the time just because I don't know why. It's just so sweet. It tastes just like sugar, to me at least. My mother-in-law does not think that it tastes like sugar, but she loves sugar. And so like if I were to bake a muffin, like you cannot tell the difference between date sugar and regular sugar in a muffin. I just use date puree for things. So I've learned how to modify recipes. You know where to find me if you want to modify a recipe and you're like, I want to make this recipe. What would you do in terms of ratio? I can help you with that, but it's just been something that I've had to learn over the years. Like, okay, well, it calls for oil. Should I just use date puree instead because it's using a dry sugar? Does that make sense? Does that make sense at all?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So you just have to learn to modify. Okay, so for this recipe, for the dressing, guys, this is, again, like all recipes, in my opinion, are like, they're flexible. So don't stress if you don't have apple cider, but you have orange juice instead, or same with like vinegars. Like if it calls for, no, this is for my recipe. No, you're eating. Okay, well, that's fine. You can have more applesauce. Don't freak out. Like if it calls for apple cider vinegar, you don't have apple cider vinegar, use a white vinegar and just move on with your life. Like it will probably taste delightful if you have a different vinegar. Like it's going to be okay. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good, guys. No, absolutely not. So Cohen is trying to get on the screen because he knows that I'm distracted on a cooking thing. Is that not smart of him or what? So anyways, this dressing is made. I'm going to make my dressing in a mason jar. I'm going to show you how I do it, how I try to do it lazily without having to whisk or without having to blend my dressing. But I use the date puree. So I'm going to use about a tablespoon of the date puree. Here's the texture up close, real close. I mean, guys, you can dip apple slices in this and like move over caramel. You never need caramel again in your life that clogs your arteries. You can eat date puree instead. I mean, for real. So good. Okay, so no. He wants to watch Ann Esselstyn. Ann and Jane Esselstyn, they are the best mother and daughter duo. If you're not following them, you need to follow them. They do everything to help you prevent cardiovascular disease, the #1 killer. Okay. Because we're doing our cooking show and we're no screen time, no screen time. A little bit of water, and we're using tahini. I'm using tahini. You can use any nut butter that you want to. Where's my tahini? This might not work because my tahini is not like super, it's at the bottom of the jar. So it's not super like liquidy. It's kind of chunky. So I kind of overfilled this jar, but it's fine. We're gonna do what we can. Then we're gonna see if this works. If it doesn't blend very well, I'll just use my whisk. But I also really like to make dressings. Like this recipe calls for a dressing to make one salad with, you know what I mean? Like if I do this in real life, like if I were to be doing this in real life, I would triple my recipe because your girl is not going to get in the kitchen with all these ingredients for just one meal. Now, old me, past me, when I was just a Pilates instructor, that was fine because I would teach. I wouldn't have anything else on my mind, like raising a child or running businesses from home. And I would just get off work and I would come home and I would make the things like elaborate recipes. I'll make those, you know. But that's old me. That's not new me. New me, batches. New me makes things in bulk. So even if I don't make the same salad base, I'm still going to make a dressing so that I can add it to different dishes throughout the week. This would be delightful on a wild rice dish, rice and beans. If you like tofu, you could marinate tofu in this. I mean, there's like lots of different options. So this recipe, yes, you may have the rest of my matcha. Even Cohen likes the olive leaf matcha. You guys have got to try it. It's so good. Okay, so the dressing is done. Okay, I'm assuming everything is like done cooking now. I think we're gonna wrap this up. We're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up, guys. Let's check everything. I'm gonna check everything. Let's see if the muffins are done.
Oh yeah.
Did I make the batter? The batter's already done. What are you talking about? The batter's in here. Like a glaze?
No, the stuff that
On top of it? I didn't know we were making a frosting. That would be a cupcake. This is the muffin. Here are the muffins. Yum. They smell so good because of the ginger and the cinnamon. And I just like doing a toothpick test or a knife test. If it comes out clean, your muffins are done. Oat flour can be a little bit thicker than what you're used to baking with. If you're used to baking with white flour, it's going to be thicker. It's going to be a different texture. Oh, be careful, please. You could burn yourself. Yo. But we have a very hungry person over here. You're going to burn your mouth, so you have to be very careful. I'm peeling it off, but try to let them cool if you can before you peel the thing off. We'll let you taste that in a minute. We're going to assemble the salad, check on our soup, and I'm going to eat that macaroni before he finishes the whole bowl. No, you're going to finish it? You're going to eat it right now? And a muffin. Okay. All right, guys. Let me go get the veggies because I'm going to throw them onto what we're going to pretend like is arugula. This is actually mixed spring mix. See, this is where I'm saying don't let perfection be the enemy of good. If you want to make a salad and it calls for arugula and you only have spring mix, just do it. Just do the spring mix. We actually have arugula in the garage, but I was simply too lazy to go out and get it. So there we go. We need to put some fruit on this salad. You don't have to do fruit on this salad. You could forego salad. Or if persimmons are in season, that would be another delicious thing. But on this recipe, I say pears or apples. I have to get back to it. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm also breaking the rules yet again because it calls for walnuts on the top and we're doing sunflower seeds. But I think that tahini and sunflower seeds go well together. Again, you could make this dressing like an orange peanut dressing with peanut butter. Options. There's options. So we're going to slice up an apple. This is a Fuji apple. I didn't show you guys at the very beginning of this, but listen, if you don't have a good knife, you need to get a good knife. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars. Like I have very nice knives that are very expensive that my dad has got me. It's his fault because he buys really expensive knives. So I grew up thinking that I needed a really expensive knife. And that's just not the case. Like this is actually the Misen brand, M-I-S-E-N. This is an 8-inch chef knife. And at the beginning of this, I honed my knife. I have this little thing from Woostop that has a coarse blade thing and then a fine blade. And I sharpen my knife every time. If you hate cooking, you probably have a crappy knife. Because it is not fun to be in the kitchen when your knife sucks. It really does not make cooking fun at all. It's dangerous to have a dull blade. And I got this, I mean, I have really, really nice knives, like I said, but I got this on Amazon. And it works really well. So make sure that you have a nice solid cutting board. I recommend wood over plastic because microplastics can otherwise get into your food and plastic cutting boards can harbor a lot of bacteria. I'm going to slice these apple wedges or just apple slices. I just made them like this, like little halfies. And I'm just going to put it on top of my greens. You can do as little or as much as you want with the fruit. I just think fruit is really good on salads. And hey, if you say I don't like fruits on salads, then you don't like cucumbers and tomatoes on salads because cucumbers and tomatoes are technically fruit. You know, you don't have to put like berries on your salad, but I think that it's delicious, especially like the harvest time. And this is called harvest root and arugula salad. So, okay, we're gonna get the roasted veggies, pour the dressing on, and wrap it up.
Sweet.
What's sweet? The apple? Yeah. God, it's successfully roasted even on a 350-degree oven. So again, this is parsnips, carrots, and onion. And I am like There we go, running out of room because I have a very full kitchen. Okay, I'm gonna try the carrot. Okay. Yeah. Perfect al dente. You don't want your veggies to be like soggy. Okay. And I love roasted onions. I could probably have that for like every meal. I should have gotten a bigger bowl. It's fine. Throw the roasted veggies on top and dress it up. I'm telling you, herbs Provence will change your game. They're delicious. This spicy. These are veggies. What do you mean? Carrots, onions, parsnips. Now throw the dressing on and see if our soup is done. Your muffin? Yeah, in just a second. Now this is an oil-free dressing. A lot of people didn't know that you can make dressings without oil, but it's very true. For my clients that are on a, oh, excuse you. For my clients that are on a weight loss journey, I recommend just taking a break from oil because it's the highest calorie density food on earth. If you are gonna eat oil, I only recommend having an incredibly high quality olive oil. And then also I think there's some evidence showing that if you're gonna be cooking with olive oil and heating your oil, you wanna use like an avocado oil because it's more heat stable. But I just do oil-free cooking.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, hold on, I gotta show the people. There's a salad. Look at that. I love roasted parsnips. If you haven't tried roasted parsnips yet, do it. You can make parsnip puree too. And it's delicious. Okay, let's check the soup, guys. Let's check the soup. Oh, it says there's 2 more minutes. I'm breaking the rules. I always break the rules in the kitchen, don't I? It's fine. Any questions? Any questions? I just got a message that somebody forgot about the class and they missed it, and now they're sad. Don't worry, I'll be sending a replay if you registered for this. Yum. Don't forget about the miso hack with sodium if you have blood pressure issues. Don't forget about vinegar. Vinegar is actually helpful for blood sugar. Did I say blood sugar? I meant blood pressure with the miso. If you have blood pressure issues, try to rein in the salt and use miso instead. The muffins are so good. They're always good. Okay. So sweet. Yeah. That's another thing that I like using with the date paste. In my like baked good recipes. The date sugar really will taste just as sweet as like a regular muffin with white sugar. But we use date paste so much that like we're very used to foods not being baked goods, at least not being so sweet. Because it's just not as sweet. It's not so hyper, you know. I don't know how to explain it. It's just so granulated and so much surface area of sugar on your tongue when you're eating those dried refined sugars. It can really set you off. What other tips? Cheese sauces don't have to be made with dairy. They can be used with cashews. You can use plant milk. For this soup, I'm going to show you right now, has a coconut milk. I call for light coconut milk. Why do I call for light coconut milk? Because coconut actually is one of, no, you cannot have this because you won't like it. Okay, you can have a little spoonful, whatever. Whatever. Here, try it. Here, have some unsweetened coconut milk. This is, it's, okay, coconut is high in saturated fat. Saturated fat should be kept low in the diet. It is not good for your brain. It is not good for your arteries. And coconut is one of the plants that is high in saturated fat. It's really the only saturated fat plant out there. I do not ever suggest that you eat coconut oil. Don't do that. I used to do that. I thought it was health promoting. No. And otherwise, animal products are a source of saturated fat. I'm not saying that you have to give them up, but I would keep them low. Okay, just keep them low. We don't want the oxidized cholesterol, and saturated fat can become a problem. That's for sure. And we will be learning more about that when I interview the Terzais tomorrow, the neurologists, learning about that. So coconut milk, this is a light coconut milk, okay? So a low fat version of it. You can find ones that don't have any gums. Today I was just in a rush, so I ordered from Fresh Time. And this has a little bit of guar gum in it. If you have severe SIBO or gut issues, then a gum of, even if it's just a plant-based source like this, you know, just guar gum, any gums in your food might cause gastrointestinal distress. So there are coconut milks out there that don't have any gums in them at all. Or you could simply use another source of plant milk and mix it with a little bit of potato starch or tapioca starch or even organic cornstarch. Heat it up a little bit and let it thicken. I put that in the recipe just if you want like a coconut-free version. We don't use coconut milk very often at all. And if we do, it is the low-fat version. No. You have muffin, you have macaroni, you have all the things. This is just about done releasing pressure. All right, now we're gonna finish the soup up. You're excused. Okay. All right. Sorry, I had to go out of the camera. Okay, that was really hot. We have a beautiful soup here. No, it's fine. A beautiful soup in the Instant Pot. It's brothy at this point. We're going to add our greens. These are collard greens from the farm that I chopped up. Collard greens might be something that you haven't been tapping into. You should tap into collard greens. These are wonderful for you. And very palatable when you cook them. They're a little bitter when you eat them raw, but here's what they look like. And if you want to like live like raw, like I might actually go completely raw in January. So you can make wraps out of these huge leaves. Stuff them with like walnut taco meat. Yes, and these are grown on our farm. Beautiful, beautiful collard greens. You can do that with Swiss chard leaves as well. But I just throw the greens in at the very end and let them cook gently. You can put them in at the beginning before you cook it, but they'll just get like, they won't be verdant. They won't be super bright green. And you'll overcook them. Before you serve this soup, you'll want to take out the bay leaves, which I can see. I'm going to show you the end. And then we're going to add this coconut milk to finish off the soup. So again, you don't have to even use the coconut milk. You could just have the soup in its brothy form. But this just brings it all together, creates a really cozy, comforting soup, which is why I called this comfort class. All right, look at this. Finished our class. So good. It's heavy. But that's it, you guys. We've got muffins, we got macaroni, we've got salad, all the things. I hope that you enjoyed this class. before we wrap it up, is there any questions? I don't think there's anything in the chat. I want to burn my mouth, but I want to try the soup. You have access to all the recipes. If you didn't get access to the recipes, let me know.
Stacey, can you comment on your metal Vitamix container? Because when I first looked for a Vitamix, they didn't have that, and I noticed you have that.
Yes. I think everybody needs one. Here's why. Well, if you cook the way that I do, you'll want this. And the reason why is because I used to make like my sauces and my hot drinks and all of that stuff in my regular Vitamix container. Now, all of the things that I make are super health promoting, right? So at least I have that going for myself. But I didn't think about putting the hot fluids in my plastic container. And until Vitamix came out with the stainless steel container. And when they did, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been using hot fluids in my plastic container for so long. And again, while my food is super healthy, that's not ideal to be putting hot fluids in plastic containers. So I teach everybody to not store their food in plastic containers and not heat their foods in plastic containers. Why would I want to use a plastic container all the time for blending my hot food? So once this came out, I made the investment. It's so worth it, in my opinion, for your health. And I just like it because it's aesthetically pleasing. I'm not going to lie. It's really pretty. It's not any different in terms of the power, right? Because it's the same base, but you can buy this and it's not that expensive. I actually got it. Well, I told Kyle I wanted it for Christmas just a few years ago when it came out. Maybe it was 3 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago. I got it right away because it's awesome. It actually has measurements on the inside so you can see how much fluid you're putting, which is awesome. And it doesn't stain. A lot of the times, you know, if we're blending up like tomato sauces or foods with turmeric in them, that's another reason why I like this, because when I would make things with turmeric, it would stain my plastic containers, which was annoying. So I have 3 different containers for my Vitamix. I have the big one that I make flour in, or family size smoothies if I'm going to decide to eat a smoothie, which is rare. I actually eat food versus smoothies, but Kyle and Cohen eat smoothies all the time. And if I make a huge vat for us, I'll use the big container. And then I have the small container that we use daily. Oh, I have a small plastic container that I use for other things as well, like cold things. And then I have the stainless for hot.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, I was very aware of plastics, and
Yeah,
that's why I don't do a lot of hot stuff in my Vitamix. I do that more in my Instapot. And so I was appreciating seeing that you had that. Thank you so much.
you are so welcome. It is, I am very thankful for it. So, yeah, you guys should totally make the investment. So then you can enjoy the hot drinks that I talk about all the time. Like I make a hot drink every single morning in my Vitamix, by just mixing, you know, hot plant from Olive Tree people, with hot plant milk or hot water and 2 to 3 medjool dates with a teaspoon of matcha powder or my Samey tea, water processed decaffeinated sencha, or my mushroom coffee. So, yeah, it's awesome. So thanks you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. I hope you loved it. And now we have a feast. It was worth it. And if I weren't talking, I could have gotten that all done in an hour. So that shows you how much you can make in 1 hour if you just stay focused, really focused. It'll behoove you. So you're welcome, you guys. Be well. Take care. We'll see you soon. Do I end it? There we go.